Hi everybody, Matt Geary for Geek Pride here on this Tuesday evening, and I have the pleasure, as always, to be party to fellow geek, two fellow geek comrades. We have David Foy.
Ready to do it?
And Julieta Zavadsky.
Hello.
Back again, I see.
As always.
With a wonderful picture. You know, completely looks just like you. This is Julieta hiding from her boyfriend in the bath.
It's so true as well.
Yes, it is. Right. So just tell me between yous what you've been up to for the last week, and I'll do some quick sharing and stuff. So, Dave, what have you been up to?
Well, I was in Manchester, obviously, for a few days.
You were. Do you know what, Dave? Do you know, I felt like I didn't need to talk to you because I've been talking to you every week. So it's like, oh, it's that guy. You know.
I think I uttered about like 12, like maybe 2 sentences to you the entire night. At the start of the night and at the end, or start of the day and then the end of the night.
I was super
when
drunk.
We were leaving.
I was very drunk, and I was dancing quite a lot. And
yeah, you were dancing even before I left, and like we left quite early. And I was sober, and like it was you were totally dragging Louise around the dance floor, which is even more funny.
Like making her. I was singing "Kiss." I was made for loving you, and
classic.
And some other ones and stuff. But yeah,
we left quite. Obviously, we had to leave quite early. But I was sober, but I was drunk at all of the free pizza, which was incredible. But yeah, we were standing outside waiting in our taxi, and it was maybe about 10:30, 11, early enough. But the music was interesting, was okay up until that point. But as soon as we were leaving, it was just every cheesy bad hip hop song you can imagine. And you know, if we had been there, it would have been like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, get up, dance. But so that was a bit of a shame that we missed all that. But yeah, it looked like it was a great night, and from the photos I saw afterwards, it looked like it went on to be a even better night. So yeah, that was great.
It was good. I like Ali and stuff. They stayed up to like 5 in the morning drinking, and I was gone because I've been drinking since like 1 in the afternoon. I was on double vodkas all night, so I was obliterated.
I'll tell you a story. Obviously, I'll need to tell John this, but obviously we were staying in a little hotel just down the road from where the venue was, and apparently most of the hotel was basically guests for John's wedding. But there was like some of his relatives from like back in Belfast, and you know the walls in those places are basically paper thin, so you basically hear everything that's going on. But it was just guys absolutely wasted, going mental in the middle of the night, But apparently, when we were sort of lying in bed the next morning, you heard like a ruckus outside, and it was like an older lady shouting at one of the guys, and it was just like, I can't believe you, you're disgusting, I can't believe you. And from what we could hear, it conspired that he'd come in at 6 in the morning, absolutely off his face, proceeded to go into the loos to have a pee, and conveniently missed the toilet, and it looked as though his either wife or girlfriend had left her suitcase full of makeup next to the loo, and he essentially peed all over like her apparently a couple of £100 worth of makeup.
Man, do you know what? Kind of similar to that. When I first got Jeffrey and Eva, the 2 cats I've got, my girlfriend at the time had this massive box of makeup, and obviously they're kittens and they didn't know what they're meant to do and stuff. They're meant to sort of kind of do the cat litter thing, but I guess he was on heat or something, or he was sort of like when he basically sprayed some musky shit all over her makeup, and she didn't realize, and she was going to go out one night. She went in, put her hand in this makeup thing to get it, and it was just drenched in this horrible smelling stuff. And she was like, Jeffrey, what have you done? And I was
you can't get rid of that smell either.
It's horrible, man. It's really
Cats are a nightmare.
They are.
Cats are an absolute nightmare.
Little shits.
But lovely little shits.
Yeah, lovely little shits. So Julieta, what have you been up to?
Well, my sister came to visit me, check out my new place, and we did some streaming. And then last night I did my second stream ever, so that went pretty well. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to. I've just finished editing down, because like our first stream was 3 hours long, and it was just probably one of the worst games I've ever played. But
What was it?
Dread Out. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's for the PC. It's basically like a horror ghost type one where you're this Chinese girl and you've got a cell phone, and if like a ghost comes up to you, you've got to like take a picture of it and it makes it disappear.
What?
And it's
Is it kind of like an updated Fatal Frame or one of those sort of ones, like the classic sort of survival horror with a camera games?
Yeah, well, it's. I mean, I've never played any games like this, so it was quite an interesting concept, but it was just way too difficult to understand what was going on and what you had to do next. And it got to the point where like it changed all the controls round to like backwards. So I was just like, well, fuck this. I've had enough of this game. So I pretty much got off that like level and then was just like, I can't rage quitting now. But I suppose after 3 hours of playing a shit game, you know.
You feel like you have to go along with it. It's
yeah. Well, I mean, because when she came over, she was like, oh, you pick the game. So I was like, well, we could play Alien Isolation. I've had a few people suggest it, but I have already played it. So it was like, maybe we should try something like a bit new, a bit different. And I'd already bought it. So I was like, oh, we'll just go with this. And yeah, she's definitely picking the game next time.
Oh, we got a Gearsden watching us at this moment in time. We need to get Gearsden back on the podcast, I think. The man, the myth, the legend that is Anthony Fairhurst. Geek Pride's answer to Carl Pilkington. Seriously, gee, he is a one-man... Yeah, you gotta meet him. He's just hilarious. He's brilliant. He's like old school rock and roll. Here's a story about Gearsden. The first time I met Gearsden properly, like he used to, he used to work in my old office when I worked at Aviva, and I was standing there with a girl I know called Rachel, and we were in the Rain Bar in Manchester, and there was this guy who we'd seen around. We knew sort of was into his rock music and his metal, and we could say he was into his sort of old school stuff because he had long, sort of kind of blonde hair, had like a Kiss top on, he had a Kiss shoes on, he had a leather jacket on and stuff, yeah. And he sort of, I'm talking away to Rachel, and this guy sort of walks up to me and Rachel, and he's got 2 Jaeger bombs in his hand. It's like this, and he's all right. That's all right, man. How's things? He's like, yeah, all good, man. Yeah, and he's talking away, and then Rachel turns around him and says, so why have you got 2 Jaeger bombs? He says, "'Cause lass, I'm rock and roll." Necks them both and walks off. And I was like, that's the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It was amazing.
Yeah, you need him on here.
Yeah, he used to do the old podcast back in the day, but he hasn't been on for a while, so I'm going to get him to join up and stuff. So yeah. Right, okay.
What about yourself, Matthew?
What have I been up to? Okay, so I went to see it, Dave.
Yes.
And I know we talked about it. Last time. I don't want to kind of go over loads that we talked about last time, but yeah, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was that scary. It had a few jump scares in it. I love Pennywise. I think Skarsgård does a really good Pennywise. I got the whole Goonies slash Stranger Things sort of vibe from it. I enjoyed it in like a sort of kind of teenage sort of like romp type thing, but I didn't think, oh my god, this is amazing. I was expecting something scarier, to be honest, and I don't think I got it.
I think that's exactly what I said last week. It's not scary. It's not an overtly scary film. Obviously it does play some jump scares, but it's more of, it is that sort of Stranger Things template of a PG-13 sort of, almost like an adventure thriller with feelings of dread and feelings of tension and so on. But it's not an overt horror film. And I think anyone that I've spoken to who have seen it thinks the same thing. But again, I think it's probably the studio influence. They probably thought it's a great basis for a project, but let's keep it 12 to 15, and let's try and open it out to the biggest demographic as we can.
One thing, right, and I only found this out like just before watching the film, and it's I've never read the book, right? Stephen King. I've not been a huge horror fan. I've never read any Stephen King books and stuff. I've seen a lot of the stuff on the TV series and the films and stuff, but I've never read a book. Apparently, I know in the book there's like a sex scene in the sewers.
Yes. Oh, no, leave that out. Leave that out.
I was like, why that?
Who?
Like, this is it, Juliet. Like, basically, after they beat Pennywise in the first part,
they all have a gangbang and live happily ever after.
Yeah, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah, basically what happens is they get sort of stuck in the sewer. They can't get out. And now Dave can fill me in because he's obviously read the book, but they get he can fill me in.
I mean they're all essentially very traumatized. They're all after their first sort of battle with Pennywise, and Beverly realizes that they're all sort of young teenagers essentially. They're all sort of coming of age, and she uses her sexuality to bring them back to normality and bring some sort of stability into their heads after going mental. It's like a really uncomfortable scene. All of the versions of it, like from the audio book, the original miniseries, and now this version has totally stayed well away from the scene. I think a lot of people look at it as it's Stephen King's a great author, but his early work is very, I don't want to say objective, it's not objectivizing women, but it's the fact that Beverly has to use her sexuality as her weapon is a bit ropey and not very great. So everyone's kind of staying away from it, and obviously so.
Yeah, it was just weird. I mean, I think he's turned around and said, she says, "Oh right, okay, it wasn't meant to mean that," or something like that. He says, and there's lots of kids getting killed in this, and I don't understand why people aren't. Which I can understand, fine, if you're okay with kids getting sort of their arms torn off and stuff like that, then you should be okay with a bit of kiddie porn or something. But
well, it's not really that, but yeah, I mean it's. Yeah, I mean it's just not the type of stuff. Maybe in the late 70s, it might have been somewhat acceptable in literature, but no way would it be acceptable on the screen, especially not today.
Yeah, and when I heard that, I was like, I fucking hope they don't put this in this film because I'm gonna be leaving. I was like, whoa, that was just odd. That was definitely odd. So yeah.
We'll leave it there.
Yeah, well, we will definitely leave it there. Okay, so
I was reading just before, the guy who played Pennywise. He said that they deleted a scene that he found way too disturbing, which I kind of wish that they left in because apparently it was back like 200 years ago when he wasn't actually Pennywise. He was like himself.
They said,
and he was like
okay.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
There's something. It's like where he originated. It's something about where he has a kid, and he says, I can basically. It sort of ties in with when he's got who's the main kid with the stutter.
Billy.
Yeah, he's
Bill,
got
Bill Denver.
Yeah, Bill. So he's got him, and he says, I can just take him, or I can take everybody, sort of thing. And apparently, it's something along the lines where he says, I can take this kid, or this baby, or I can take everybody, destroy the whole village and stuff. And I think that's meant to tie in with that some way. Somebody was mentioning that at the wedding, actually.
I think you might see that. I think as probably a good scene as it is, I think they might have taken it out because they might put that in maybe the sequel. Because I think by keeping the character as the evil clown in the first movie, I think you might see a bit more of the history of Pennywise in the second. In the second movie, because I know obviously you don't know what they're going to change, but if it does follow the line of the book, Mike, one of the kids grows up to be the town librarian and does a lot of research about it and the history of it, and
is that the
and
fat
so
kids?
on.
That
No,
kid?
no. Mike's the black kid.
Oh,
The
right,
guy
the
that runs
butcher.
the child that runs the farm,
Ah,
but
yeah.
I don't know whether or not because they in the original book he's the one that does all of the research. Now I know they've switched it
Yeah,
to
I
the
didn't
other
like
kid.
that.
Yeah, but I know obviously he stays in the town and is the one who obviously keeps an eye out for the re-emergence of Pennywise. And he becomes a librarian and does a lot of research and he discovers a bit more about the history. So I think they might tie that into the second film.
Interesting, interesting. Yes. Okay. So if anybody's watching this, as always, if you want to talk about something with us, by all means, leave some comments. We'll read them out. We're on YouTube, Twitter, not Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. So by all means, leave us some comments and things, and we'll read them out. If you've got any questions for anybody, if you've got anything you want us to talk about, then by all means, leave us a message. With that in mind, actually, we had I think a comment from. Let me just get it up on the Facebook here, if we can find it. There we go. Scrolling down. Oh, I've lost it. I'm good to say. By the way, it seems our Destiny clan is growing quite exponentially. We've got quite a few people now. Okay,
I wouldn't mind being in the clan, man. If you want to buy me a copy of Destiny 2 for
Dave,
for PS4, I'll happily join.
But Dave, you said you wouldn't play it until you finished all the other games, so you're not allowed to.
Yeah, but if someone slips me a free copy, I'm not going to say no. I mean, come on.
Michael Hawkins says probs won't be able to join, but I don't want to. So I do want to ask, how comes the Switch never appealed to you guys, and do you keep up with Nintendo news?
Yes.
Yeah, the Switch isn't sort of anything that is on my radar. Nintendo in general, having been a Sega kid, I grew up Sega through and through. The Geary family were Sega. We had the Master System, we had the Mega Drive, we had the 32X, we had the Mega CD. It was all
the 32X.
Yeah, man. We had the
Jesus Christ, Matt, you were well off. Holy shit.
we had the whole thing.
Did you play Night Trap on it? Were you a pervy little kid who played Night Trap and stuff on it?
No, I don't remember. I remember Sewer Shark on the Mega CD. Which
it was awesome.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Turn and burn, dog meat.
Yeah. Night Trap was the most controversial game ever made.
Yeah, don't
It was the one that was banned. That was the one where it was sort of the same thing, where it was like part game, part point and click game, part it's like kind of like Sewer Shark, where it's like the motion video and stuff.
Oh, right, okay.
But it was essentially like where these weird alien zombie things would break into this sorority house with all of these half-naked women.
Right.
And
Okay.
they were breaking in to try and kidnap them. And what you do is you were like a security guard monitoring the security cameras in the rooms, and you had to point and click these booby traps. So it was kind of like a mixture of like a terrible 80s teen sex comedy meets Home Alone, where you're setting all these terrible traps.
As a young boy and an early teenage boy, why did I not have that game?
It's an absolute piece of shit. But yeah, it was one that it was the most controversial game ever. It was the game that, well, it and Mortal Kombat were the games that brought in the rating system for games in America and
we definitely had
for Europe.
Kombat. We definitely had Mortal Kombat, all of the Mortal Kombats. But yeah, as it was, we were Sega through and through, and we literally would never play Nintendo. I think in my entire life, I have played Mario a bit for like a couple of minutes once. I played Duck Hunt like once, and I played like a Turtles game on my cousin's Nintendo years ago. And I'm sorry, I played Street Fighter on the Super NES.
Yes.
But it was literally like if you touched that, you were a traitor. I mean, me and my brother took that shit very seriously. You know, it's like we were Sega. We were to the point where we were so like for Sega that we used to send. You used to have like fan mail and those magazines and stuff, and you could draw pictures and send them in. Me and my brother used to draw pictures of Sonic the Hedgehog holding up Mario's severed head and stuff, and send them in. And yeah, when everything sort of went west, and Sonic betrayed us all and went to Nintendo. I don't think I've ever been able to forgive him, so I just don't go near Nintendo 3 just because we lost. We lost the Nintendo Sega War of the early 1990s, and I've never sort of been able to live that down. So yeah. Paul,
so did Nintendo in a way. If you look at it, the PlayStation came along and kind of blew it out of the water. As much as I love the N64 and still have my N64 and love it, yeah, PlayStation came along and blew it out of the water. And then the Xbox came along and did the same.
Yeah, just sort of Nintendo have just been plodding along, doing the same old, and I think they've still got the whole kind of kitschy, sort of cutesy sort of angle going on, which a lot of people like still, but as a contender for the consoles, they're just never going to sort of win. They could just rehash Mario over and over and people will buy it. That's just what they can do.
I actually disagree a little bit because I think I don't have a Switch. I don't have a Switch. I would love a Switch, but it really only would be to play Breath of the Wind. I mean, that's just to play Zelda. I think Nintendo over the past couple of consoles that they've had have been really innovative. They're made for a different demographic than say someone like who has an Xbox or a PlayStation. But they're really innovative. If you look at the Wii, when it, the Wii controller was just revolutionary. It really was. It brought a lot of non-gamers onto gaming. Mm-hmm. And the Wii U was a really underrated game console. It played fantastically. And the Switch apparently is just the portability and being able to just bring it everywhere and is a great idea. The problem with Nintendo is, as amazing as some of their properties are, like Mario, like Zelda, like Metroid, there's no new. They're not creating any new. What would you say? They're not creating any new
IPs.
IPs. Yeah, exactly. They're not creating any new projects or any new great games, characters, or projects. They're just rehashing the same characters over and over and over again. And whereas Breath of the Wind is apparently meant to be a phenomenal game, but it's one game, and that's not really enough. And if you look at the Switch, everyone's talking about Zelda, about Mario, and the only other game that everyone's going mental about is a port of Skyrim, which has been out for how many years and it's been on how many consoles. And I think that's why it'll appeal to kids and it'll appeal to specialist gamers who love the nostalgia of Nintendo, but it's not going to, sell in the same amounts as, say, like a PlayStation or an Xbox.
Yeah. Paul Biddle says, Hey, man. I was going to say, yeah, I think with Nintendo, it's like, I suppose if you've got something that sells and they can just go mosey along doing the same sort of IPs all the time, and fine, do it. But it's just getting old. I have literally zero interest in Nintendo. It just doesn't. When I go to EGX this weekend, and when I go to conventions and stuff, Nintendo stuff just doesn't interest me. I don't, I have no interest in sort of watching it or anything. Some of my fellow Geek Priders, Mr. Orvis and Ben Fee and stuff may disagree because they're quite big Nintendo fans and stuff, but I just zero interest. Actually, talking about that, because we were talking about Zelda, we have a sister podcast which is going to be moving on to its second series very soon. Gentlemen, Mr. Fee, Mr. Orvis, who should be sorting that out. But in the last series, they did a pitch for a Zelda movie, which is quite a good, interesting listen. So it's called Pitch Please. It's on iTunes and stuff with this and stuff. But yeah, they do different movies every week, and they did one for Zelda, which was quite a good one. They did a good Green Lantern one as well, which was quite good. But yeah. Anyway, so moving on. So yeah, what's your views on the Nintendo Switch there, G?
Yeah, I'm not really that interested. I mean, I don't know, because what really annoys me is like the fact, obviously what you've all mentioned before, about the fact that, they're not really bringing out any like new concepts of games or whatever, but I would only really get it for Skyrim, and like you said, I've already got Skyrim for like every console under the sun, and I don't need to play Skyrim again. I want a new Skyrim. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
they
totally.
need to just focus on getting something out new and not frigging Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, did you ever play Elder Scrolls Online?
I got it, but back when I used to live like Doncaster, my internet just wasn't good enough and it just kept freezing and stuff. So I just, now that I moved to Manchester and I've got really good internet, I haven't really gone back to it. So it's definitely something that I'll eventually do, but I don't know, it's just ruined it for me.
Yeah, I tried it. I tried Elder Scrolls Online for a while, but then the whole MMO thing came in. Look at your picture.
I know, I've just been doing that while you've been talking.
That's an
an
old school Pennywise, brilliant with a Julietta face, brilliant, very good.
Hello, Georgie.
Hello, Georgie. What did you think of Tim Curry's Pennywise?
Incredible.
I love his voice actually.
Yeah, he's good. He's good as a sort of like he's got that evil sort of, he's just got that sort of voice for playing a bad guy. I think his worst accent though has to be in Congo.
Oh, the Russian one.
Yeah,
the Russian.
Yeah.
No, have you ever seen just you're talking about Russian, I'm actually going to try and find a gif of it so I can put it on the chat, but have you ever seen he did a voice and a motion capture, or sorry, not a motion capture, he did like a video capture thing for Command and Conquer years ago?
Oh yes, where
he does a space. He does like a Russian. He's like a Russian. He's like a Russian general. But there's this really famous one where he talks about it, and it's like, let's go into space, and he just does this like a completely mental version of it, and it's like it's iconic, absolutely iconic.
I love that, man. I love those old school Command and Conquer things with the motion captures. It was amazing, so good, so good. Mark Cox says on Facebook, Nintendo unfortunately just recycle the same old concept. They need to reinvent, which is true, unfortunately. But like you said, I think they're making money out of it. People are buying. I guess if it's not broken, don't fix it. But
do you know how they're making the most money at the moment? And it actually does piss me off. They're doing. Did you see last Christmas they did the retro NES?
Okay.
The mini NES.
Yeah.
So it was basically just obviously they released it and it had like, I think it was 30 of the most popular original NES games, and they released it just as a wee plug and play USB console, and it sold like absolute hotcakes. Did really well, sold out its first and second runs. And then what they did was, instead of continuing, because more and more people wanted it, but instead of selling more and more, bringing out more and more batches of it, they went, no, we're not going to make any more, which means that they've totally screwed over everyone else. People are flogging this now, which I think was only 70 quid when it came out, but they're selling it now for £400 or £500 on eBay.
Yeah, did you see that guy who basically bought up about 200 of them and then was nice? It's just like people like that, man. It's fucking...
Yeah. But now they're bringing out a SNES. So the SNES comes out in November, like a SNES version of it with 30 games, and they're just going to do exactly the same thing. The pre-orders have all sold out. So they're not going to sell any more. It's going to end up people are just going to buy them en masse and flog them all on eBay, and it's just going to be an absolute, shitfest. So they're just going to do that. I'm sure the N64 will be next year, and the GameCube will be the year after. It's just printing money, essentially.
It is. And the thing is, when you go back and you play all these old games, like, you go back, oh, I fucking love that game, and then you play it, and you go, this is shit. I don't think there's any games that I've gone back, really, and played and went, this is awesome. I'm just like, wow, this is pretty weak, I could be wrong. Name me some games, some old school games that still sort of hold up today.
Oh, Ocarina of Time.
You know what? I have never played a Zelda game. Ever.
Ocarina of Time.
No, neither have I.
Yeah, I just haven't really had the interest.
Silent Hill.
Really? The old ones?
Yes. Silent Hill 1 and 2. Still incredible.
Yeah, the Silent Hill with the guy with the big knife, that I couldn't play that game. I had to stop playing it because I was like, yeah, I'm on my own. I'm freaking out right now. I'm not going to play this game anymore. So I stopped. Because I'm a pussy!
Did you play any Time Splitter games? Because they are still
Yes,
pretty good.
Time Splitters were good. It was a good game. They're meant to be either they're going to be bringing out a Time Splitters, or they have already, but an updated version. I think it might be one of the free to play ones, or they're doing something with Time Splitters, and they're bringing.
No,
it
isn't it like a fan creation? I'm pretty sure I was reading about that because I got really excited.
Yeah, it might be a fan creation where they're sort of making it HD, and I think they're sort of kind of adding some bits and pieces. Mark Cox says Earthworm Jim still rocks. I guess some of the some of the platform games, some of the platform games aren't too bad. I suppose you can carry on playing them and stuff like that. Do you remember Toe Jam and Earl?
Yeah.
Toe Jam and Earl. I used to love that game, but it hasn't really. It really hasn't. It used to have this sort of. It's about two aliens, and it was called Toe Jam and Earl, and they just sort of had to do stuff, and it was a good game. But I played it at the last Play Expo, and yeah, it hadn't aged very well. Let's see. David Lars has said Time Splitters was the arcade gun game. No, Time Splitters was. You're thinking of Dave.
Time Crisis.
You're thinking of Time Crisis. Yeah, that's it. What you're thinking of. Time Splitters was like a first-person shooter, wasn't it? Bit cartoony.
Is it not? It was made by the same guys who did GoldenEye and Perfect Dark.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But I love Time Splitters 1 was okay, but Time Splitters 2 was incredible. Remember it coming out on the Xbox? I think I had it on the Xbox.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. But the one thing I would say is it's essentially, what do you call it? The big game that's out at the minute. Shit, it's just gone out of my head. The big
Destiny?
shooter. No,
Destiny?
not that. Not Destiny.
Overwatch.
Overwatch. Yes, sorry, completely went out of my head.
Yeah, it is.
Overwatch is essentially Time Splitters. In a lot of ways, colorful characters. It's like a kind of Team Fortress 2 sort of vibe. Really, really fun, colorful characters, but a really tight team-based first-person shooter. Really, really good.
I keep on hearing beeps in the background, Dave. Your cat's sort of trying to cry for your affection.
She's running around here like a lunatic. I don't know what she's bloody doing. I tried to lock her out there, but she scratched the door.
I would take a photo. Attention.
She does. She's like rubbing up against the bloody, like the microphone here. Keep waiting for her to talk.
My poor cats, like they're so used to sort of sleeping with me and stuff. So like Eva's, my black cat, sort of sleeps near me, and like Jeffrey sort of sleeps on my face whenever he sort of wants to. But Louise does not like the cats being in the room when she sleeps over and stuff, so kicks them out, and they get so upset because they're not allowed in the room. And so they give her.
So you get like cat hairs up your nose.
Well, that's it. Louise sort of, I can understand. She just doesn't like the cat hairs. She's not like she doesn't like cats. She's got her own, but it's just like I'm just used to having them there and stuff. When I was a single man, they were the only company I had. So yeah, but yes. Mark Cox says, "Yet Alex Kidd sucks." Dave, that Tim Curry gif is freaking me out right now. It's amazing, isn't it? It's just carrying on.
It's better when you hear the. I should have actually put like a link to the YouTube or something, but it's incredible. It's iconic for terrible overacting in a computer game.
Oh man, I love Command and Conquer. I love the soundtrack to Command and Conquer. Brilliant, really good. Okay, so with EGX coming up this weekend, Geek Pride should be there for the Saturday and the Sunday. I think it's myself and Peter, and also I'm bringing along Louise's son and brother. So it'll be a little family trip as well. But yeah, games coming out, lots of new games coming out. Have you seen any of the new Call of Duty or the new Star Wars?
Yes, I've seen both. I have literally no interest in new Call of Duty at all. I'm still loving Battlefield 1. And I know it's going along the same sort of route, trying to reinvent itself because they've just painted themselves in the corner with all of the future war stuff. But I just have no interest. I just think Call of Duty...
It's dead, man.
No, it's just bland, repeat, rinse, repeat. No, just no interest.
My issue.
Star
They should have
Wars,
stopped
love it.
Yeah, they
I
should
think they
have.
should have stopped at
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 3.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
One of the best Call of Duties was Modern Warfare 1, with Soap McTavish and, the SAS stuff,
Yeah.
great storyline, good game, and, it's just sort of, it had a good mix, but they just sort of pushed it on, all the Black Ops stuff, and then it just got worse and worse and worse, and then it just became a parody of itself, and
I think the first one was really interesting. The first Black Ops was really interesting. I loved the whole Cold War setting and the missions. We are going to assassinate Fidel Castro and that sort. I think that was really interesting and a bit different. But it was so overblown and again overacting, and it just there's only so many twists that you can throw in a game before it just gets really boring. And I think they've just continued along that. I think the problem I have with Call of Duty as well is you've got 3 studios making one game franchise.
Yeah.
And I know they try to say that, oh well, it's great because we have these different companies because it keeps it fresh and everyone has a different take on it. But I think you lose a lot on that because if you look at what Bungie did with Halo compared to what happened whenever is it 242 is it they took over 343 sorry
yeah,
343. I think Bungie had a real coherence to the Halo storyline that was lost whenever they moved on to Halo, or sorry, whenever they moved on to Destiny. And I think you look at it would be the equivalent of like Rockstar farming out GTA to other companies. You're not going to have the same consistent approach to quality that you would have if one company or one games company is developing every one of the games. And I just think it's just they know their target audience. They need to hammer out one of these games every single year. It's going to be bought by the same people who are going to play through the single player maybe once or twice and then just blast away killing noobs on multiplayer, and that's really going to be it. And it's just slowly but surely dying a death, and that's why they've tried to reinvent themselves.
But I don't even think they've reinvented that much. They've literally gone World War II, but with all the stuff you would probably get in the other one. It's just like they haven't changed very much, and it's annoying. It's like they had a good run, and I think it's just time they need to change things up. I think first-person shooters in general, the only sort of one that Battlefield ones, the Battlefield games, I've always been a fan of because it's about teamwork and it's about sort of kind of working as a squad, and it seems a bit more real. Like Chris Chatterton says, it's all about player unknown battlegrounds, which is a really good sort of take on a shooter now, which is getting quite big, and I can spend ages watching that game because it's got a good sort of angle to it. But the guys who do Call of Duty need to change something, because not just the setting, they need to change the game because it's boring as hell. Like, I know like my girlfriend's kid wants it, and he's really excited that he wants to play it when we go to EGX and stuff. But I'm the same. I have zero interest in the Call of Duty games at the minute and stuff. The last one I had interest was in Modern Warfare 2. And then I just started losing interest because it was just the same old. So yeah, then something needs to be done, and story's a big thing. I think story, like you said, is a massive thing. Cohesion with the story. The one thing that annoys me, and you were talking about Bungie, and I mentioned it briefly last week, was that Bungie had this amazing story with the Halo franchise, which pinnacled at the best Halo game, which was Halo Reach, with an amazing story and one of the best endings in a franchise ever. It was brilliant. Such a good sort of bit of it, like heart-wrenching stuff, And then
they wanted to end that game there. You know that?
Yeah.
Bungie had said to Microsoft that they wanted to end Halo there and then, and it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
And as much as I did enjoy playing through Halo 4, I gave it a bash and I did enjoy it, but it just felt really hollow because I think ending Master Chief's storyline with Halo at the end of Halo 3 and then having Reach on after it was just perfect. Absolutely perfect way to end it. And I just think I understand people want more of stuff that they like, but when you've got, it's look at Uncharted. Uncharted 4 was a perfect way to end that the storyline of Nathan Drake, and Naughty Dog are not going to make another Nathan Drake Uncharted game.
Yeah,
you know, and it's perfect.
I think with the franchise like Halo and stuff, I think they knew they couldn't just stop. In their defense, like Halo Reach is one of the best Halos that's ever come out. It's amazing, but the storyline in Halo 4 was quite good as well. They had the fact that you had this sort of dynamic between the Master Chief and Cortana, and it was even touching on love for each other. And she's obviously an AI, but she's been with him for a long time, and you could tell he was getting a bit emotional towards her, and you could tell she felt a lot for him, and that was good. And then they fucked it up in Halo 5 and like literally just threw it to the four winds with like the other Spartan, what was his name, Spartan Locke. And they had something that was building quite well, and then suddenly just threw it away. And I was so disappointed with the last Halo, and I just hope they don't carry on sort of bastardizing, because the one thing about the Halo franchise has always been the storyline. It's a good storyline, multiplayer as well, but split screen multiplayer, which they took away, which was another fucking clusterfuck. But yeah, storyline is a massive thing for me when it comes to games. The only game I play that storyline isn't really an issue for is the Battleground games, because I like that as a multiplayer game. I don't like playing COD in multiplayer because it's literally running and gunning and just getting owned by kids who have better reflexes than you. Whereas, whereas you're playing sort of Battlefield and stuff, it's a bit, got to put a bit more thought into it. You can defend stuff, and it just seems like a bit more of an enjoyable game. Few people on Facebook. Let's see what we've got here. Mark Cox says Battlefront Star Wars, listen to the fans. It's finally getting a story. Yes, I'm glad that they've done that.
Awesome.
And I kind of like the fact that it looks like it's going to be on the side of the Empire as well. So that's going to be good, because they never do stuff like that, and I like that. And David Lars has said, using you guys as a background while painting models, PS, Call of Duty, etc., are literally all the same to me. So, Dave, what are you painting? Well, I like a good paint. I like painting models. What are you painting? Let us know. Chris Chatterton says, not about tactics, but headless chickens running around a tiny map. It's bang on. That's what Call of Duty is about. If you're good at it, I guess fine. It's competitive. People make a lot of money playing that game, but I have zero interest in it whatsoever. It does nothing for me. But yeah,
I really like playing them though. I've not played any of the new ones, but because basically when I was at university, I had my flatmates, Nikki, who was in the room opposite me, and then there was Joe, who was down the corridor, and we'd all have our doors open, we'd have our headsets on, and we'd be playing Modern Warfare 3. So we'd be talking to each other on a team, and like they were a lot better than me. I mean, I wasn't that bad at the game, I'll admit that. I'm better at shoot 'em up games like that. But we would absolutely own together if I was kind of like trailing behind them. But that was so much fun to me, and that was kind of like my university experience. So,
well, yeah,
I mean,
we did similar things with Halo and stuff, and I think if you've got a bunch of mates you can play with, those games aren't as bad. If you've got a load of mates who are into the same thing, and you can sort of play them, and you haven't got a bunch of whacks who just win at all costs, and it's literally just fucking no scoping and noob tubing and things, and it's all about it's not about the enjoyment of the game, it's just about winning, and and winning's good. We all like winning, but when you've got a bunch of mates, and that's what upset me about the Halo franchise, because every year, for a good 4 or 5 years, I had a Halo tournament at my house, and I made a Halo trophy with a skull on it and stuff, and we had 16 sort of people would come around. We'd get 4 TVs, 4 Xboxes, and we'd have 4 people at each Xbox. We'd have a few drinks, lots of food, and it was great.
A few?
A lot of drinks, and and we just sort of, we do that, and it was amazing because you'd literally just be sitting there. If you'd have a couple of people in one room, and then you have some in the other, and then you have people below you, and you'd be stamping the floor going yo, and it's just more interactive, and it's good. You can enjoy that. Whereas if it's just across, there's something about playing multiplayer across the internet that bothers me. I don't know what it is. I don't feel it's as personal, and it's sort of, I like having people around and enjoying a game together. I don't like just sitting there on my own playing a game with somebody, across the pond. It doesn't feel the same for some reason.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think that's probably why you had that experience with your housemates.
Yeah,
you all could have a good laugh and stuff. So I can see where, that nostalgia's come from, because that's where I got my Halo sort of kind of love, because playing Halo with your mates is the best thing ever. With especially like 4 people on a single screen just playing away is amazing. So good, and like having loads of people around. Like the last time we played it, we had like four TVs, 4 Xboxes. It was Halo 3, I think, at the time, or maybe it was Halo Reach, and we were all around playing the game. And my housemate at the time brought her cousin and his mates up from London, and they were very good, and they beat us soundly, and they're not allowed to come back and play with us ever again. David Lars says he's painting a Blood Angels army, and for Warhammer 40k of Imperatus. Yeah, brilliant, good one, man. That's I'm a Space Wolf type chap. Ali, let's see if I get this name right. Sarhan, Ali Sarhan says, Julietta, do you plan on purchasing a 3D printer?
No. I don't know. I thought about it, but like they're quite expensive and they use a lot of electricity and stuff. So, and like I don't know. I just feel like I could definitely benefit from it, but my wallet just really won't right now.
I personally think that 3D printers haven't really come. I don't think they're. I know there's a lot of people, they do a lot of cool stuff with them, but I think they still need a bit of development. When you print stuff, you still get these lines on them, and I know they've got certain new ones that do it in a different way, but the sort of commercial ones that you can buy, unless I'm completely wrong, so if anybody's got a 3D printer, by all means, let us know, but it seems that it's still very sort of like you'd have to sand it down, and it would take a lot of time and effort for something that you personally could probably make out of Warbler or EVA foam or something like that,
Well, yeah, I mean, like you've got to know how to use the software to build a costume in the software to then print. Yeah. Which I mean, I downloaded Blender the other day and looked at it and just thought, nope, click off.
Do you know what Blender sounds like?
It's a 3D software, and I just looked at it and I thought, I've got no chance of learning how to do this anytime soon. So it's going to be one of those like things that I'm going to have to sit down and teach myself properly. But also the fact, to me, at the moment, the idea of having a 3D printer is only really it's only going to be useful if I was to say, okay, I'm going to make Daedric helmets and sell them on my store. So I'll 3D print one, which costs a bomb, and then make casts of it to then sell on to other people. And I don't want to do that. So I kind of feel like it's just going to be a waste of money.
Blender sounds like a really dodgy dating app. kind of like Grindr. Yeah, Blender. What would Blender be? If it was a dating app, what would Blender be? So Grindr's obviously
everything.
Yeah, maybe a buy app. Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe.
like
a buy app.
Pansexuals.
Yeah, pansexuals.
Awesome.
Oh, Dave's put a picture up. Sorry about the random noises on my mic. This was an Helping Me podcast. What's that one called, Dave?
That's Rosie.
Rosie. Do you have one called Jim?
Yes, we do. We
have cats called Rosie and Jim?
Yeah. Aww. I didn't pick the names. My girlfriend did, but yeah.
Do they mosey along in the old rag doll?
No, unfortunately not. No, they should be writing stories and going on adventures every day. They're not.
Amazing. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Got some other comments here. Chris Chatterton, multiplayer Goldfinger back in the day was good.
Goldfinger, GoldenEye.
He says Goldfinger. Yes, it would have been GoldenEye. Chris Chatterton, you made me look like a fool. A fool, I say. But yeah, GoldenEye. I sucked at GoldenEye simply because I couldn't get used to the 64 controller because it only had one analog stick, didn't it, in the middle?
Yeah, it did. Have you played? Has anyone played it recently? We went to QCon, which is the really awesome sort of independent gaming and anime festival up in Queens.
Yeah,
Queen's University, and they obviously have like a load of retro games, on display that you can go and you can play. And I haven't played. I do have an N64, but I don't have GoldenEye. And I thought, right, bugger it, I'll have a go. I loved it back in the day, same as Perfect Dark. It's one of the most unplayable games. It's so bad. It obviously it revolutionized first-person shooters, but it's just so awkward to play and just no, doesn't hold up well.
There's Play Expo coming up in October 14th and 15th, which we will be at, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're in Manchester at the Event City Play Expo, it's a 2-day sort of gaming expo. We'll be there. Hopefully bigger and better this year. So we'll have our gaming competition, but we're also probably bringing the Geek and Sun table with us this time if I can get a van and stuff, and some other bits and pieces. Might do a live podcast and such. But they have a lot of like old school retro games I used to play as a kid, and I had shifted at some of them last year, and I was like, wow, these just are not very good. And GoldenEye was one of them, and I was like, yeah, it's just not good at all. And everybody's suddenly gone all silent. I thought everybody had gone there for a minute. I was like, no, I've been left on my own. I've been left on my own. Yeah.
So what all is on at the Game Expo then?
EGX at the weekend is literally just industry stuff. So all the big games that are coming out. So you're going to have Battlefront's going to be there, the new Battlefront, which I've got high hopes for because I was really disappointed in the last one. The new Call of Duty is going to be there. The new Assassin's Creed is going to be there. The new Warhammer Total War is going to be there. What else have we got?
Are they bringing out a new Halo?
Not yet. They haven't, but I think they've got a lot to think about, and they better they better take their time and do it properly, because the last one, I was so annoyed. It's just like, again, as much the multiplayer's not too bad. Story was weak. Story was well weak. I was upset about that. Multiplayer's pretty good. But again, you can't do it with your mates. It's just one person on a screen, and I've got a 55-inch screen, and I want to be able to play with my mates and stuff when they're around having a few beers and stuff, and I can't do that. So hopefully next time to sort out the storyline, bring back split screen, and then we'll be all good. Let me just.
A lot of new games have done that though, because it really annoyed me that Overwatch don't do like a split screen.
They just seem to be doing that. The thing is like, you can play it over. Multiplayer online and stuff, but I think what the issue is, if they can do it, if 4 people can play it on one screen, that's 3 other people who aren't going to buy the game, and it's annoying because that's just not what it's about, is it? So it's annoying. I'm going to try and find out. Let me just check what is going on at EGX. I'll get us a list.
Just as you were saying there about games like Call of Duty that really need to sort of, just take a break and try something new. Assassin's Creed is another example of that.
Oh my god,
I've no interest in that game whatsoever. I watched my brother. I think I got him for the first Assassin's Creed when it came out. I watched him play it. It looked a bit repetitive, and I just had no interest in it afterwards and stuff. It just didn't seem like it was something I'd be into, and it looked like it was just the same game over and over. Bar one of them, you were in a different area and you were allowed to sort of drive a boat at one point in time.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed 4, I played the first one. I remember when it first came out, and it looked incredible. It was before there was, obviously Arkham Knight came along and sort of revolutionized or sort of, improved on the Assassin's Creed template. But it was this initial game, it was the big open world and the the parkour and all that sort of stuff. It looked incredible, and I remember playing the first one and just finding it dull as dishwater because it was just, I think it's 5 assassination missions in the entire thing, and they were just identical. It was, you did all these other wee missions to build up to you did your final assassination, and it was just terrible. Assassin's Creed 2 was great, but it wasn't a game that I really went out of my way to play, just because I had such a bad time with the first one. But I remember Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag was awesome. It was the one that I took a chance one day and bought it in the sale and for the 360 and just fell in love with it. And I think it was just they realized that it was every game seemed to be going along the GTA Red Dead Redemption open world route, and they just turned it into this big massive exploration, sandbox game where just sailing around on your ship and hunting for treasure and all this. It just turned it into like a really awesome sandbox game. But I just think it's just after that they've done nothing else. The last couple of games, other than being buggy messes, they've just been terrible, really, really dull games. Yeah. And why just end it? Just end it and do something different,
Ali Sarhan says another Arkham game is coming out called Spider-Man. I have seen the previews of that, and it does look pretty cool. But again, I've never played a Spider-Man game, so to be honest, I was never a massive Spider-Man fan until the recent Spider-Man film. So,
Here's a question for you. I take it, were you guys both fans of the Arkham games?
Do you know what? I didn't play any of the Batman games. You know what? I'm not a massive stealth sort of guy. Stealth games don't really do it for me.
It wasn't really a stealth game, do you think?
No, not really.
That's right.
I liked the first one because the fighting style was actually pretty awesome. Like I really enjoyed that.
But what I was going to ask is, obviously, as they're stopping doing Arkham games now, and I know discounting the Spider-Man game, which is kind of the same but a bit different. What other superhero would you like to see get an Arkham-style game?
Superman.
You can have any superhero.
Superman.
No, Superman's gay. Don't like Superman.
That's not very PC. Yeah, well, I like Superman. I like him. He's people don't give him a lot of stick, and I like him. The old school Superman game used to get in the arcade. I loved that game. It was so good. I'll see. Actually, I'm going to see if I can play it when I'm at Play Expo and stuff, because I was just thinking me and my brother used to play that a lot. It was that and Double Dragon. But yeah, I've got a list of all the games we got at EGX, and there is a lot of them. So they're bringing out an HD updated version of Age of Empires, which I cannot wait for.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. Cannot wait. Love that game. Grew up on that game. We've got Ark Survival Evolved, so it's that game where you sort of start off naked and then you build stuff, and then there's like dinosaurs and stuff involved. So that's the newer version of that.
No Man's Sky sort of thing or something like.
Well, no, basically you can see videos of it. So you basically start off in the game. I think it's called Ark Survival, or I'm not 100% sure what the whole sort of thing is, but you start off naked. You come into the world naked, like bollock naked, and you have to build. You have to make clothes, and you're going to make weapons, and you can make pretty much anything. You can make bases and stuff, and you can tame dinosaurs. And it's sort of one of these things where you can literally just fuck people over. And there's some amazing videos of people just doing that. It's like a DayZ sort of type game. You can like just mess with people. But yeah, that's
kind of sounds like Horizon a little bit. Although obviously it's not sort of,
But I've not played it. I've just watched some videos and stuff.
Yeah.
We've got a Nintendo game called ARMS, which I have no idea what that is.
Okay.
Obviously, Assassin's Creed Origins, so he's in ancient Egypt. We've got Away, Journey to the Unexpected. Again, I don't know. Team Bravo. Doesn't ring a bell.
Is it Johnny Bravo, is it?
No, it just says Bravo. Oh, no, not Team Bravo. Bravo Team. I'm just being an idiot. Then you've got Call of Duty World War II, obviously. Bravo Team seems to be an 18. It's Sony one. I wonder if that's one of the new Ghost Recons. Is Bravo Team the new Ghost Recon? If anybody knows, let us know in the comments. Obviously, Destiny 2, which is out, and we're currently playing. Detroit Become Human. Dirt 4. Disneyland Adventures. Let's see what we got. The new we've got Dissidia Final Fantasy NT, which I'm not sure what that is. I'm obviously a Final Fantasy game, but Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Everybody's Golf. Yes, I've been waiting for that game for ages. Everybody's Golf. Far Cry 5, which is just obviously a bit sort of shits and giggles, isn't it? Doesn't take itself very seriously, does it? Then you got FIFA 18 for all you football fans. Forza 7 for all the car enthusiasts. Then you got Gran Turismo Sport. Heroes of the Storm. Hidden Agenda. No idea. No, half of these games I don't know what these are.
I was going to say, yeah.
I'm getting well old. Hunt Down, Knack 2. I don't know what Knack 1 is.
It's like, yeah, it's a wee sort of, it's quite like Jack and Daxter sort of, platform game. One of those sort of games. Not really interested.
Obviously for Nintendo. What do you think the next Nintendo game I'm going to mention
Skyrim?
is?
Mario?
Yeah, it's going to be Mario. We've got 3 Mario games in a row here. We've got Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
Awesome.
Then we've got Mario and the Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Then we got Mario Kart Deluxe. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Then we got Metroid. So basically, let's just redo the old games.
Metroid's cool.
Metroid.
Metroid Prime was an awesome game.
Oh, obviously we've got Middle Earth Shadow of War, which looks awesome. Looking forward to that. NBA 2K18, Minecraft, though I'm not sure why. That's probably just being played there. Obviously, Player Unknown Battlegrounds is going to be there. Project Cars 2. Anything else interesting? Sonic Mania, Splatoon 2.
Splatoon's quite funny, actually.
Elder Scrolls Skyrim. I'm guessing that's going to be
the Switch version.
Switch version, yeah, possibly. Street Fighter 5 is going to be here. Like I mentioned, but Total War Warhammer 2, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Obviously, Battlefront.
The Lost Leg.
The Lost Leg. Battlefront 2, and then a boatload of indie games. There's absolutely hundreds of them here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm only there for 2 days this time round, which is annoying because I only just about got around everything in 4 days last time. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a rush, methinks. But yeah, a lot of games. Half of them I don't know what they are, but I guess we'll see when we're there. Some comments on the Facebook. Ali Sarhan says, with games like Ark or DayZ and Pugba, which is Player Unknown Battlegrounds, would you play with or without Mike? Also, God of War 4. I've never played a God of War game, but I generally play games like that with a microphone because I generally play with other people. But yeah, they're the only games I kind of enjoy watching. I will sit there and watch people play them because they're quite they're amusing, plus they're quite tense sometimes. There's a lot more strategy goes into them than your average sort of run and gun Call of Duty game.
Huh? Oh no! I was gonna say, yeah, I'd be the same. I actually don't really use a mic very often when I'm gaming. I do play there's couple of friends that are on PlayStation that I would play Battlefield with, or would have played Destiny with the first game. But no, we don't really sort of sit and chat shit.
Yeah, it's not like you're only allowed one if you're playing with friends. You cannot play a game with a mic and just sit and sing into the microphone because I hate those people.
You're one of those people, aren't you, Julietta? You do it.
Yeah, I start screaming down the microphone and start singing to people and like bitching down it and like, oh, it's so annoying when people do that. I'm just like toggle mute, toggle mute, toggle mute.
Like we used to always get it always used to be the funny thing. Me and Russell, would we had a pretty good sort of like tag team in Halo. You know, you had like 2-player battles and stuff, and we quite good. We got quite high up the rankings. We'd always playing like kids who sound like little girls and stuff. They're obviously little boys, but they sound like little girls. And it's just when they're sitting there and they're giving you sass and you know, and calling you every name under the sun and a noob and stuff, and you're just like, I can't take you seriously with that stupid voice. And it's like, yeah, you fucking noob, I'm gonna get you, you fucking bastard. I was like, my God.
Mom, my hot pockets.
Yeah, mom.
Baby, mom.
I think there's nothing that spoils a game more than just idiots online. I don't know. For me, I think I'm quite lucky that I don't, you know, when I do play stuff like Battlefield 1's probably the only game that has a load of people on the same map and the potential for idiots. But I seem to be quite lucky. The only thing that I seem to get, that you do get, is say you're playing Battlefield and you grab a vehicle or you grab a stationary weapon or something like that, and you'll have some douchebag who obviously wants the weapon as well, who'll stand in front of you, you know, and shoot you or try to stab you even though you're part of his team, and you're just like, oh my God, like, you fucking mentality of these people. Like, but no, I don't know, it would put you off playing online, those types of people.
Yeah, they do. That being said, you can have, you know, a good laugh. You know, like I said, you've got some mates with you, you're all right and stuff. Like, I had like back in the day, when we played Battlefield 2 and Battlefield 2142, which is a completely underrated Battlefield game. Loved it. Me, my brother, and my father had a clan which is still going, called OAP, Overage Players, and we used to play that, and it was brilliant because, you know, we had like every now and again we'd actually go, like, we met up in Liverpool once with them all and stuff, but, you know, I'd never met these guys. We'd talk over TeamSpeak, and they were always half drunk and talking about pirates and things, and like it was amusing, and I found it really good. It was really interesting and stuff, and I've never had any bad experiences in Battlefield, like, you know, ones where there's people I thought they're dickheads and stuff. You know, I felt like I enjoyed that game more than I do, whereas when I play COD, I just get frustrated and annoyed.
Yeah.
And it obviously brings into the fact you've got, it brings out bad in people, because obviously, what's his name? PewDiePie has been caught dropping the N-bomb in one of his things. He apologized, and then the next day was on a stream and literally was just about to drop the N-bomb once more and had to stop himself. And it's just like,
oh my God. But yeah, to be honest, though, there's been a lot of controversy with like HP Productions. Because I quite like them, and obviously, like, loads of people are getting angry at them, saying like, oh well, you know, Ethan was in a podcast and he was dropping the N-bomb, and you know, so, and then he starts kind of like attacking PewDiePie in a video, and it was just like a big uproar, basically.
Yeah, obviously it's a very touchy subject, and I have views on it, but it's just like, in the end, I can see you should probably just never use that word. It's just one of those things. It's like, I can understand people throw it in because, you know, it's cool in a sort of kind of G way and stuff, but it's like, it's going to offend people, and it's just like, just don't use it. You know, it's just that's just, you know, it's got such a bad sort of history behind it. You shouldn't really even use it in a joke, you know, especially on a fucking on a live stream in front of, you know, hundreds of thousands of people and stuff. It's just,
yeah, a bit of a cringe moment, really.
Yeah, you know, he obviously doesn't mean it in an offensive way, but it's just not sort of, it's offensive by the fact that he's using it and he's a white guy, you know. It's just sort of, that's it. This is the way it is, you know. You can't use that word. It's just, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I don't think he's racist at all. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's not okay to say that. And
he's a troll, and unfortunately, because he's a troll, people are going to jump, because he's a troll and he's a successful troll, people are going to jump on everything he does. Like, it was your average guy dropped it, you know, you might have had a few people going, whoa, what are you doing? But nobody would have really cared. But because he is who he is, and he just has a habit of being a bit of a douchebag, everybody's just jumped on it. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. You know, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And if he keeps on fucking up, he's just going to end up, you know, down and out.
Yeah, to be honest though, I mean, watching his videos and seeing the whole like Disney downfall of that and stuff, I think it's really stupid, really, because he's obviously not a Nazi, he's not a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, no, I think it's just because he's got previous, doesn't he? It's not like he's just come up with the same one word. He's done other stuff which has been a bit, you know, he's trying to, I think in his mind it's being edgy and sort of it's shocking. You know, I can see in his mind it's just like, I can do this will get me ratings, you know, but he's just a bit immature, and that's coming from me surrounded by toys and stuff, but you know, he's a bit immature, and I don't think he understands that, you know, this stuff, he just can't say it, he can't do it, especially with his audience. He's got such a massive audience, 50 million subscribers. You've got to be responsible, basically. You can't do that sort of thing. You know, I am at a fraction of what he is and stuff, and I have to rein myself in sometimes, you know, because I wouldn't say things, you know, I'd maybe say stuff to my friends as a bit of a joke, or, you know, trying to be shocking and stuff, but I would never say it sort of, you know, in front of other people, because I know I would just get ripped to shreds. So, well,
we're kind of like in a society where we're a bit of a special snowflakes. So, you know, you can literally say anything. You could like say hi to somebody and they'd be like, "Oh my God, that was sexual harassment," like, you know, and it'll all kick off and stuff. So I feel like you can't really say anything without offending at least somebody.
I know, but it's just one of the things. I think we have to sort of. It's true. I think people are overly. I would count myself as a liberal. I did vote Lib Dem in my last thing. I'm a bit of a liberal type, and I think we have to sort of be mindful. But again, I also think people are overly sensitive about certain things. That one, the M-bomb's a no-go. You can be
definitely.
You can be as sensitive about that shit as you want, because, you know, that's just completely outrageous. But other things. You know, people.
I'll give you an example, all right? And I'm sorry, I can't believe on the Geek Pipe podcast I'm actually going to bring up the Great British Bake Off. But anyway, in terms of, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with calling out something that's wrong if you feel that something is inherently wrong.
Just before you start this, is this something that was in the news in Northern Ireland by any chance?
Yes, it was. Did you see it?
Carry on.
Did you see it?
Yes.
No, I mean, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with calling out something that's wrong. But yeah, so apparently last week there was the edition of the Great British Bake Off, and there was a skit in it in which one of the presenters was hidden in a fridge, and the other presenter opened the door, and the presenter who's in the fridge opened the door and came out and said something and then closed the door behind them. Right? Now, it was a silly skit, a link into a different scene in the show. Fair enough. Some random politician in Northern Ireland decided to put a public protest or public complaint into both the Independent TV Commission and also 4 major newspapers in the UK, talking about how irresponsible it was to feature someone being in a fridge, because it would coerce or influence kids to think that it's okay to climb into a fridge, and that that could potentially cause the death of children.
Oh man, that's grim. That's so bad. It's just like that's what annoys me. It's people
want to be offended.
Yeah, and I think it's just like there's like the most irksome things that annoy me, and I've done sort of little podcasty type things about them. It's like, you know, when you got a bag of nuts and it says may contain nuts, and it's just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this bag contains nuts because it has a big fucking thing that says nuts on it, and it's stuff like that annoys me. And there's a there's a comedian. He's an Aussie. What's his name? Chris Hughes, I think, or Stephen Hughes. I can't remember. He's into his heavy metal. He's in like a death metal band and stuff. He's hilarious. But he starts talking about sort of, common sense and health and safety, and how back in his day it was just common sense and stuff, and how everything now is, you have to sort of put warnings and everything because idiots, will do things and then sue. Like, there's a robber who fell through a conservatory roof when he's trying to rob the house, and he sued the household for that. It's just like stuff like that. It's just ridiculous. It's there has to be a happy medium. There's like, by all means, there's certain things that shouldn't be said and certain things that shouldn't be done. And yes, there's a line, but then come on, you got to use common sense and stuff. And context. There's no context. People don't use things in context. It's like nobody's going to get into a fucking fridge just because they saw your man from the Mighty Bush get into the fridge in the British Bake Off. It's ridiculous.
They might get into the fridge when they if they see Harrison Ford getting into one and saving himself from a nuclear bomb going off.
Yeah. So
especially with North Korea.
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh, fuck
well, you can't really get into a 3310 Nokia 3310. I don't think it would fit. Well, that would be my safe space.
Get into an icebox,
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, just before we go, so we'll end it soon. Ali Shahan has said, "Oh, I forgot, Julietta. Since you've done a scary alien xenomorph, would you make a scary alien necromorph?"
Awesome.
I wanted to do the dog soldier one instead, because everybody does, like the human hybrid one, and it's well, because I've got a figurine of it. It's like brown and it's a little bit more like creature-like.
From Aliens 3, yeah.
Yeah, so I was actually considering making that like relatively soon. I don't think I've got the space or the tools to make the Alien Queen the way I want to, so I might have to kind of settle for being a bit of an underling.
When you said dog soldier, I thought you meant like Dog Soldiers, the film.
No, I got that film.
Awesome.
You should do that, Julietta. You should dress up. You should get yourself a big werewolf costume.
I'm actually writing about Dog Soldiers right at the moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing an article on my favorite comedy horror film.
Yeah.
And Dog Soldiers is one of the four. So.
I love Dog Soldiers, man. I love that film. It's just like awesome. It's when he gets him. I hope you fucking choke on it, and it's just like brilliant. Yeah.
No,
it's hope I give you the shits.
That's it. Yeah, I hope you give these fucking shits.
The best bit's when they're trying to get through the letterbox. He's got the hammer. He's just whacking the hands. I love that.
Yeah. Amazing, absolutely great. Okay, so before we go, has anybody got anything urgent they want to talk about or say?
Yeah, not really. It's Culture Night this weekend, this Friday in Belfast. If anyone's around, I'm hopefully going to be around. There's loads and loads of stuff on in Belfast City Centre, which is free. There's some geek related stuff. Some good bands. So if I see people around, say hello.
You can't miss him. He's got a big beard.
Yeah, I look like everyone else.
My girlfriend won't let me grow a big beard. She says I'm not allowed to.
You're missing out, man. You're missing out.
I am sad.
I can't trim mine now. That's a problem. I've been growing it for a while, and she won't let me trim it now. So, yeah.
Amazing. Okay, yeah, I will be at EGX in Birmingham at the weekend. So again, if you see me, come say hi. I may even have some free badges and stuff to give away, or some t-shirts and things like that I might bring with me and stuff. Julietta, are you at EGX this weekend?
No, sadly not. I don't really have a new costume to bring because I've been working on a secret costume for another company. So I just figured, I can't be bothered.
A secret company. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll look forward to that. Okay, so we will end it with Dave and Julietta. But as always, thanks very much everybody for joining us and joining in the conversation. Again, if you missed this, if you want to listen back to it, it will be on Facebook, obviously the live version, but it will be on iTunes and Google Play and our website and stuff, so you can listen back to that. So yeah, thanks very much, everybody. I've been Matt Geary.
I've been David Foy.
I've been Pennywise the Clown.
I've been Pennywise the Dancing Clown.
We all float down here, Georgie.
Oh, that was amazing.
Georgie. Billy boy.
But what about your boat? Okay, night, guys. Thanks very much.
Good night.
Bye bye.